Okay, folks, we're going to get started. So I want to make sure, Rohan, you're there, right?
I'm here.
Okay, and Larry, I heard you joined earlier. You still there?
I'm still here, Ken.
All right, great. Thanks for jumping on, guys. So, folks, thank you for joining us for this webinar, breaking the mold. When we're talking about manufacturers and the experience that they're having with Salesforce, the things that they're doing. I have with me on the call, I have Larry Jacobs of Hayward Tyler, which is a local manufacturer and a great Salesforce customer who recently transformed the way they're running their business and their day-to-day operations. And Larry's going to speak to that. And we also have Rohan Verma from Traction on Demand. He's a Salesforce Platinum implementation partner. Rohan is a thought leader over there, and he's been working with manufacturers for years. And we're going to get right into this. So as we begin, I just want to talk a little bit about Salesforce, and then we're gonna have a discussion with Larry. Salesforce is the fourth largest enterprise software company in the world. We've gotten a lot of accolades over the years, whether it be from Forbes magazine for Innovator of the Decade or the world's most innovative company from Forbes. We're in Fortune 500. We're an organization that is growing by leaps and bounds, and we're growing that way because of our customers. Everything we do is geared towards the success of our customers, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of those things today. And one of those customers is Larry. So Larry, could you maybe just give us a little bit of background on Hayward Tyler? What does the company do so everybody understands, and we'll take it from there.
Sure, Ken. As you mentioned, you refer to us as a local manufacturer, which we are. But Hayward Tyler is we're part of a global company, the Hayward Tyler Group, and our headquarters is based in Luton, England. Hayward Tyler Incorporated is a company here located in Colchester, Vermont. We design, manufacture, service, and sell high-end, high-quality, very engineered pumps and motors for the fossil power, nuclear, chemical, and industrial markets around the globe. As I said, our headquarters is based in Luton, England. We also have manufacturing facilities in Scotland, and then we have service and sales in China and India as well. And then a year ago, Hayward Tyler Group acquired a company called Peter Brotherhood, which is also a manufacturer of steam turbines, gas compressors, and combined heat and power systems. So globally, we're probably about a 600 employee company with locations around the globe.
Excellent. So, and business is doing well now. Tell me what was happening when you approached Salesforce? What were some of the issues you were dealing with that made you consider Salesforce?
Sure. Hayward Tyler, actually, the company itself celebrated its 200-year anniversary last year. It was founded in 1815, so it's been around for a while. And I think some of the processes and procedures we used were established back then as well. The biggest problem, Ken, we had from a sales perspective is a lot of our information and communication was static. So for example, we had installation databases that were spreadsheets residing on an internal server that may or may not have been updated or accessed. We had communication that was done via email, so a lot of information maybe was in somebody's inbox or in somebody's directory in their inbox. And if you didn't copy the right folks on an email, then you were out of the loop. And we just weren't able to do real-time dynamic selling out to the sales team because our sales force, and our sales team is 100% remote. So they're located throughout the U.S. And throughout the world. So communication was important, and also having very dynamic and real-time information that they could utilize and that they could have access to, but also that we had here in the home base where we could act on it as well.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So you had them out on the road. They were your global organization. You have a lot of different offices. And it seemed to me that, when we were talking, there were a couple of key things that you were interested in. Salesforce, you were very interested in reporting. You were very interested in tracking deals. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the success that you've seen inside the organization around those areas? Have you seen some gains, and what do they look like?
Sure. So the first thing we did was on the communication side, and when we implemented and rolled out Salesforce.com, we got everybody involved in Chatter. And for those that on the call that may not understand what Chatter is, it's really a community communication platform, if you will. And so we got pretty much everybody in the world, including China, India, and the UK, onto Chatter. And we created groups within Chatter. So based on either product line or based on markets, we created Chatter groups. And what that allowed us to do is not just communicate as a global community, but also to document this communications, and then also upload specific information that anybody in the world, part of the Hayward Tyler group, could access it, search it, and find what they were looking for. And I didn't have to rely anymore on somebody making sure the right people were on an email chain, for example, or that something on a server, for example, an internal server was accessible, because in order for them to access it, they would have to be in a hotel, on Wi-Fi, VPN in, and it just became very difficult. Now that we're on a cloud-based system like Salesforce, and we have a global communication, everybody from the CEO on down, has real-time communication. They can see it real-time. They can look at it on their phone. It's very easy to use and very easy to communicate. That was the first thing we did. The next thing was, okay, what do we do with all this static information that we have, which by the way, all these spreadsheets are in essence leads and/or prospects that we should be touching, but because they sit on in a spreadsheet on a P drive or a server, internal server, we may send it out as an email attachment. A salesperson may open it up, may look at it, and then close it, and then move on and forget about it. So what we did there was we took some of this information that was on static spreadsheets, and we created campaigns within Salesforce that we could then assign to an individual on the sales team, and then from there we could schedule tasks around that so that they could follow up and then start touching these customers, but we could see it real time. It allows our global sales manager to manage that pipeline. And then we took everything that was in our ERP system and integrated it and ported it over to Salesforce. So again, we can look at all the opportunities that exist. We can manage them through tasks and follow-up tasks. And more importantly, we report up on a monthly basis to our CEO who resides in the UK on our pipeline. He was actually here last week, and there are he's interested in pipeline data based on markets, based on geographies, and based on product lines. Well, I was able to show him. I created basically 7 reports that he wanted to look at, that the same data that they look at in the UK, they do through Excel, and it's a very complex and very involved and very data-driven program. I created those 7 reports in Salesforce in about 45 seconds. And so that's the power for me, is that on a monthly basis now, rather than taking a static data, creating a chart, putting that chart into a PowerPoint and showing the PowerPoint, we are going to go right into just using Salesforce in the reports and the dashboards in there to report up to the board of directors and to the group what we're doing here in the U.S. And then the last thing, Ken, is when we created these campaigns, we actually are just close to closing our first deal because of this campaign with a customer, for an order, about $1 million order that we otherwise probably wouldn't have gotten if we hadn't created the campaign and given the attention and given the tools to the individual sales rep in order to get in there and close on that deal.
That is excellent. Great news. Congratulations on that deal. That's awesome. Larry, so you talked a little bit about data. So, one last question for you. It's not just the static data inside Salesforce, right? You're looking in your ERP system, right?
Say that again. I'm sorry, Ken.
You're looking into your back-end ERP system and gathering information from there into Salesforce, right?
Right. So Salesforce is 100% integrated with our ERP system. But the good thing is that in the past we had our sales reps who were in the field, working with Outlook as a tool, but also if they were utilizing the ERP system, again they had to be VPN'd in to access the ERP system. It wasn't always reliable. We now have them working 100% in Salesforce in the cloud, on their phones, on their laptops if they happen to be at a point where they could fire up the laptop, but no longer are they working in the ERP system because it's fully integrated to Salesforce. So anything that they do in Salesforce will integrate back into our ERP system, and then anybody on the inside sales team here that might be doing something in our ERP system will be integrated back up into Salesforce. And that's done. I think we have it set to integrate every few minutes, like every 10 minutes or so. So again, as I mentioned to the CEO, the data that you see in Salesforce is never older than 10 minutes. Whereas before, I would print a report out from our ERP system, and that report, once I export it into Excel and publish it, is now old, right? And if I wanted to get fresher data, I'd have to go back in, run another report, export to Excel, and then send that out to everybody. Now you can go right into Salesforce, and any of the pipeline reports that I've created are no more than 10 minutes old.
That's great. That's great. So productivity, we have success in reporting, we have success in collaboration, we have success in actually closing new business. It's a great story, Larry. Listen, thank you for sharing. We're gonna switch it over now to Rohan. Rohan works at Traction on Demand. Traction is a great partner of Salesforce, local partner, works closely with us, and he's going to walk you through some salient topics. So Rohan, you still there?
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Thanks a lot, guys. Hey, that was a great kind of intro to how Salesforce can impact manufacturing, Larry. So thanks for that. I'm just using PDF for my presentation, which I'm new at. I usually use PowerPoint, but the fonts weren't working. So, hey guys, who am I? My name's Rohan Verma. I'm the managing director out in Toronto for Traction on Demand. Traction has, we've been in the business for about 10 years. One of the first 100 certified on the platform. Close to 1,000 customers, over 3,000 projects. We're about 230 employees. We are very, very successful. I think we're number 6 rated in the world, and just like Salesforce, our success comes from our customers. A little bit about me and why I'm talking to you guys today is I personally have a lot of projects under my belt. A third of my experience is in the manufacturing vertical or ecosystem. I founded a company called Big Kite Consulting, which actually got acquired by Traction, and part of that was this offering called Forge, and basically where it fits in the manufacturing, how it can help you guys in the manufacturing side. So let me just get started. I'm going to skip this slide. I talked about how Traction has a lot of customers. I really don't need to spend too much time. I'm not sure if you guys care too much. We have a lot of big brand names, and we have a lot of small brand names as well. But I think I want to focus on a couple of different things. So today I'm going to show you a couple things. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Salesforce can change the world for manufacturers. I know Larry kind of talked a little bit about it. I'm actually going to show it to you. When we speak to our customers in the manufacturing ecosystem, one of the key things that they're looking to do is to become more predictable. And I think with prediction, especially for manufacturing, it's super important. Your margins, how much money you're able to make, all of that comes down to how well you can predict what you're going to sell and how much your customers need and all of that, because you can make your lines and all of that stuff more efficient. We find that most manufacturers are actually, typically we find them in the stage 1 or stage 2. Either they don't have any process and they don't have any tools on the sales side. Of course, all manufacturers have a lot of process and focus on the ERP and all the processes required to make the product, get the product out the door, all of that. But we find that on the sales side, they're lacking process, or they're lacking tools. If they have process, they don't have the actual tools to support that. So what we're trying to do is slowly move our customers through this, starting with reportable, which is kind of where Larry's at now. He's able to kind of report and get all that information, and hopefully, kind of move into that managed side. From there, we really want to try to push and start to improve on those tools and those processes to be able to get you guys to be able to say, I know for a relatively good, accurate measure how much business we're going to do this year, where that business is going to come from, and what they're going to buy. And that's ideally kind of what Salesforce should be helping you with. So, there's a couple of topics that I'm going to be talking about today. One is generally the lack of the 360-degree view. And I'm sure you guys have heard this. It's like the 360-degree customer view. Well, for manufacturers, there's a lot of players in the ecosystem, and there's a lot of relationships. It's not just about your customer. Your customer could be a distributor, but really you want some insight into your end user as well. You might have you might need some information from your suppliers. There may be partners that you're collaborating on. And at the end of the day, you would greatly benefit from a 360-degree view of all those relationships, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and the productivity that can come from not just a cloud-based system, but structuring your cloud-based system to support, aggregating some of that data and making it real time. I spoke about predictability there, but inaccurate sales and demand forecast. Yeah, that is one piece that just manufacturers are still kind of burdened with. So I'm going to kind of show what Traction's built to kind of support that, and then just the channel, the whole concept of not just even visibility, but managing your channel, supporting your channel, getting them bought into the vision, and putting together plans with your channel, measuring against that plan, and making sure that your success is through their success, and therefore the support of that, right? And then, of course, the whole disconnected systems, right? And this is kind of like a real pain that Larry spoke about today, which is, being able to access my backend system is cumbersome. And that's kind of a minor pain point. What I've seen through my experience is that your backend systems hold so much data, and there's a gold mine of information in there. The problem is, no one's actually sat down and thought through how to make this into, consolidated, digestible data that can be actioned by the right people, whether it's customer service or salespeople. So I'm hoping to kind of cover these points when I show you guys what Salesforce is capable of. Before I kind of get into it, I want to just kind of, paint a little bit of a picture so you guys understand, what is it that Traction provides and what is it that Salesforce provides, and just kind of help you understand where things kind of fit. At the end of the day, I know you guys have awesome systems to, digitize operations, but the engagement piece is typically missing from manufacturers. And so you'll have all of these siloed systems to do logistics or demand planning or ERP and all that stuff. But when it comes to engagement, that's just not there. And so this is where Salesforce kind of brings those systems together. And Larry was talking about integration. And what we do is, Salesforce doesn't, Salesforce isn't designed to replace your ERP out of the box, right? What Salesforce can do, though, is take all of these siloed systems, bring them together, and create a system of engagement. And on that system of engagement, you can have collaboration and productivity gains and visibility into data and all of the things that you need to do to really engage with your internal users and your company, and also collaborate with business partners and your customers. And through that collaboration comes success, right? And so that's what Salesforce is. It's this kind of like middle layer here. What Traction Forge is basically a consolidated set of basically our consulting experience in the manufacturing industry. We packaged that up and created an app on top of Salesforce. So essentially, the things that Salesforce out of the box doesn't do immediately for the manufacturing customers, that's kind of what we've built. We've kind of plugged the holes to make sure that the process for manufacturers is very smooth. So that's really what Forge is. Now, I'm sure you guys might have some questions. There's a chat on the Blue Jeans. So if you guys could aggregate your questions as I'm talking, we'll be able to kind of just get to Q&A right at the end of the session, and we'll have all your questions kind of answered. All right. So if you want to learn more, you can go to forgecrm.com. I'm actually going to just jump into the demo right now and just kind of show you and paint a picture of what Salesforce is capable from a manufacturing side. So pull some stuff over here. All right. So let's talk. So the first thing that I was talking to you guys about was, hey, that whole picture of what does a 360-degree view look like? And when you connect your data sources and when you have a system of engagement, what you want to do is not throw too much data at someone, but kind of put it into a way which is actionable and digestible. So if we take a look, and I'm looking at Ynet, and Ynet might be a distributor for me. And so I'm looking at Ynet's account. So you'll notice that all the information that I need access to is readily available, not in a static form like Larry was talking about, like pulling out a printed report that might give me like a list of sales orders, but I can actually like click on something. So here I'm looking at sales orders. I can click on the sales order. This information comes from my ERP. But what I've done is I've taken something simple, like all of these complicated dates, and I've actually turned it into a red, yellow, green status for my sales rep to understand if I have a problem or not. And scrolling down, I can actually see the specific line items that I have a problem on. And this allows me to get that information easily and readily, and all that information that kind of sits in the ERP kind of locked away that I need access through a VPN, I can access through Salesforce, either through a browser or through my phone. But really, the real value comes from consolidating and making things easier for people. Look, if your reps are on the road constantly, they don't have time to digest all the information they need to prepare for their customer visits. And so we're looking at a customer account right now, and essentially you're looking at a dashboard. So here, I see all the revenues that I need to see, all the numbers that I need to see. I can see here that I'm probably going to run into a fire. So I should see what tickets or cases that this customer has opened. With a simple click of a button, I can see we have wrong product quantities, we have a back order problem, and we have a quality issue. So I can go in and I can be prepared to have that meeting not being caught off guard because of this one little indicator. I didn't have to think about things. I didn't have to, call my inside sales guys or customer service to get an idea of what's going on. And often I don't have time for that. On the other side, I want to make sure they're paying their bills. It seems like I might have a little bit of a problem here, and I could do that same thing as well, right? To understand, how much they paid and how much they haven't. But the real value here is this kind of beautiful dashboard. I, as a rep, and this dashboard is completely customizable. And I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. But I, as a rep, don't really have time to put these types of charts and dashboards together. This is real-time live data that's in Salesforce. For Larry, this would be updated every 10 minutes based on his integration. But essentially, I can see the trends that I can see the trends for my customer. So because these trends are so clear, I, as a rep, can now have conversations around this. So I can basically say, hey, you know what? You guys actually have stopped purchasing, a lot from us. Like year over year, you're actually decreasing. So, hey, there's a change in need there, Mr. Customer. Why don't we have a discussion around what that change in need is, so that I can actually help you see if there's a fit that my company can fill there, right? Like I noticed that you used to buy 127 K of Mantis from us. Now you only buy 60K. What's going on? Like, is there a change in need? Are you seeing a change in need in your end users? Help me understand this, right? So I have all the information that I need right there, and I can start to have idea of like whether my forecast versus actuals are correct, what the product mix is, and anything I want actually. So here, I'm comparing this customer to other like customers. So specifically tier 1 customers, I can see their max annual spend compared to other tier 1 customers, what the average spend is, and then what the and based on product family as well. So very, very useful for me as a rep. Now, the nice thing here is if I'm going on site, Larry was talking about, having to log in and be on site and have connection to Wi-Fi and all those other things. Well, the nice thing here is that I can actually do this on my phone. So I can go to Ynet on my phone and see all that stuff right here, staring me in the face, right? So all that information is here: the case status, the charts that I need to see, and make this a productive session, right? So the other thing is making it productive for them, like a site visit. So here, for a lot of our manufacturing customers, the reps actually plan their week out. They basically say, okay, Monday to Thursday, I'm going to be on site at customers, and maybe Friday morning, but my Friday afternoon is reserved for writing notes and, filling in site visits and following up on my actual actions. A week to pass by before anyone can action on a customer is a very long time, especially nowadays. Well, now this rep can actually, log a site visit right here on their phone, and it automatically fills in all of the things that they would typically need to fill in. And all I have to do is type in the notes. And nowadays, with the phones that I have, I don't even have to type this in. I can use my text-to-speech function right on my phone to fill this in for me, right? And there you go. The site visit is saved to the account, and everyone has all their information. And I've done this in, a minute, rather than spending Friday recalling kind of what conversations that we had. The other productivity kind of features is, rather than carrying, some of our manufacturing customers, they have like, thousands and thousands of SKUs and product applications and those types of things. Well, what we've done is we've kind of taken all that ERP data and we've made it very easy for them to find products and have conversations with customers, especially when it comes to customer pricing or tiered pricing or very complex pricing. So here, when I'm talking to Ynet, I'm able to actually see, hey, like I'm able to right on the spot pull up, just like, yeah, you know what, we can fill that need for you, and your special pricing, Mr. Customer, is X versus the real price. I don't have to pull up a price list, look at some percentages on another list, and then figure out, okay, this is what I need. And of course, I can do that on the mobile view as well, right? Like I can go right here on my phone while a customer is talking to me. I can actually get all the information that I need right there, and all of that data is accessible to me immediately. So, we talked a little bit about productivity for the rep. I want to just kind of shift gears and talk a little bit about the collaboration piece as well. So At the end of the day, when we're talking about a system of engagement, we're talking about a system of engagement that allows you to have conversations, right? So here, I'm not having this conversation in an email, and I don't have to worry, like Larry was mentioning, I don't have to worry about seeing someone. All the context sensitive conversations are happening in the areas where people would look. So here I can see they're over their commitment amounts, and we'll continue to go over what should we do. And I can start to have conversation with people around this, right? At the end of the day, when we're talking about collaboration, having context sensitive collaboration is pretty important as well. So I'm going to jump into some other kind of functionality, but before I do, I want to talk a little bit about, hey, we were talking about 360-degree views of relationships. And here I can see everything, right? I got my digestible, actionable dashboards, but I also have access to everything else I need. I know what marketing programs they're part of. I know, what pipeline, what opportunities are in the pipeline. I understand kind of what assets they own and what cases they've logged, what sales orders, invoices, shipments, all of the stuff that I need access to, I have access to. And then I can have context sensitive conversations around those things, right? So if I was to go to a sales order and I was to say, hey, this sales order is like back order, hey, I can actually start to have a conversation with people that exist. And I can say, what's the status on this? Customer is getting antsy, right? And now everyone has all the information they need to be able to answer the question. I didn't have to reference the order number. I didn't have to do anything. This conversation could have been done from my phone. I could have actually gone to my phone and done it, or I could have having the browser open. Now Rohan is going to get an email, and he'll just simply click a button, be taken here, and all that conversation could be happening here. There's no email threads and adding people, removing people, and not being kept in the loop. So huge kind of value there, right? So back to the 360-degree view. Well, right now I'm looking at a distributor, and looking at a distributor, I get very specific set of information. But what if I was looking at an end user? I would want to see a different set of information, right? So here, CPS Security is an end user. It's still an account, but it's a different view into that account. You can see there's different buttons at the top. You can see the dashboard is different, giving me context-sensitive information specific to an end user. Like, hey, what type of products have they purchased this year? Are they returning our products? If they are, how often and what type of products? Are they logging cases? Are they being tied to pipeline opportunities that I need to be aware of? For my biggest customers, I would want to understand that. Which distributors are they using, right? And of course, this dashboard can be customized towards, what you think is important about end users and what information we can capture, right? For a partner, it may be different, right? Like it may be what pipeline is the partner bringing in? What samples have they consumed? If you are in the construction industry, this is even more important. So think about, the type of partnerships that you'll have with architects, with consultants, with general contractors. And general contractors may be your actual customers that pay the bill, but your architect or your consultant or your design firm may be the one that actually, hard specs you or specifies you as the product that is required for this building or house or whatever it is that you're building. So I think this dashboard, if you were looking at an architect or design firm or a consultant, would be very different, right? It would probably show you, hey, how many times have we proposed our product and how many times has this architect actually spec'd us? Which general contractors does this architect work with? So these are the types of questions that you want to be able to, empower your sales reps to be able to answer in a minute or a second, rather than having to do, half their job is finding and searching information and half their job is selling. Well, what if we were able to give them all that information and allow them to sell most of the time armed with that information? And that's really the point that I'm trying to get across here, right? Okay, cool. So I'm going to jump back to YNet, and I'm going to talk a little bit about forecasting and wallet share, because I think that's generally pretty important. So when I'm looking at YNet, I might actually be able to forecast in a little bit of a different way. So a lot of manufacturers that we've kind of worked with, actually they either don't forecast in a relatively quick period. So we're talking, monthly, they either don't forecast, or they're forecasting in spreadsheets, which is, like Larry said, basically an outdated tool the minute it's sent out. So what we want to do is enable that forecasting process in Salesforce with real-time data. So here, I've actually forecasted everything that I need out. But now that the sales order or the invoices or whatever information that you guys use to actually forecast is in the system, I can use that to actually measure towards my goals. Me as like the managing director of my team, it's very important for me to put a plan in place, but I can't just put a plan in place and then set it and forget it and think that things are automatically going to change. I need to measure towards that plan. I need to ensure that, whatever we're doing, we're actually hitting those targets. And if we're not, that means that we're probably going to need to make a change. And unfortunately, with spreadsheets and kind of like siloed data, it's really hard to measure towards that plan. And this is why we built this piece, right? The other thing about forecasting is being able to essentially have that information for the rep to be able to forecast properly. So typically when a rep forecasts their large accounts or their territory or whatever that is, they'll look at historicals. They'll say what happened last year, the year before, et cetera, et cetera. And as long as the information is in the system, we're able to give them that stuff, right? So here I'm seeing that, hey, I can see the trend. Like overall, they're doing mostly more than their target. And first quarter in January, I thought they were going to do 167, but they actually did 180, or the other way around. And now I can kind of take that into account based on all the information I have about this account. I can actually put that into that forecast, right? This forecast also has rules like, being able to submit for approval if you want that, locking a particular month down once it's kind of reached that. So all of that's kind of built in. Now, the real value of having this in a single place is not just the ease of access and measuring to plan. The real value specifically for manufacturers are being able to have those conversations, right? Like, did we finalize the new 2016 Galactic line? Being able to collaborate with the production side of the business to be able to say, is this real or not? And what do they think? And being able to actually have that conversation in a context sensitive way is really what will impact manufacturers, right? So we are taking a relatively offline process and bringing it into a system of engagement, of collaboration to really make a change in the business from a demand forecasting and accuracy perspective. Okay, cool. So I'm going to jump back here. So we talked about 360-degree view, being able to increase productivity gains for your reps. We talked about forecasting and increasing collaboration and accuracy on forecasting and being able to measure towards plan at any given point in time. The other piece that I want to talk about is wallet share. So one thing that the whole set it and forget it plan side. There's also like the manufacturers that I've worked with, I've seen them actually plan for accounts, but they plan for accounts again in offline ways. So they'll use a Word document where someone will fill in all this wonderful information, but it'll be forgotten. The account plan will be forgotten. So, and the reason for that is, no one's particular fault. It's just, things get reactive and you forget. When the manager wants to provide coaching, they actually can't provide too much coaching because they have to pull up that doc and find that doc, and it's not really a living being thing. It's a static thing. Well, here, we are actually able to understand across our product line. I, as a sales manager, can actually understand, where are the opportunities that my rep is working on this particular account? Where are there no opportunities? And how are we doing from a forecast versus attainment level? And then break that down into numbers that are digestible to me, like wallet share, right? So being able to understand, hey, we have 77% wallet share on Little Wonder, but we have 0 on Mantis. There's a few deals that are coming up. Hey, let me support you on these things, right? It's a nice visual to be able to have all that stuff. Here in this row, I have all the net new opportunities that are possible. But on the second row, I'm actually able to specify a competitor and the competitive, deals that I plan to kind of take away from my competitor at this particular account. And then from there, I'm able to kind of get all that numbers. So one kind of picture that allows me to see exactly what I'm doing. The other thing that this allows me to do is actually calculate wallet share. I was working with a CEO that wallet share was actually a pretty important part of their business because they had kind of like really figured out their market share piece, and they really wanted to make sure that, they could calculate and measure wallet share. He actually had, he's like, one, I don't know what my wallet share is, but I want to increase it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if you're not measuring it, you can't actually increase it. So the first step is to measure it. Once we were able to measure it in this way, we were able to actually get them to see a change in their wallet share. He was actually able to put a mandate across the team. Guys, this year, our focus is on increasing wallet share, and that increase should come in the way of 5%. Here are all the different initiatives that we're going to do to increase it, but here's the way that we're going to measure it. And at any given point in time, he could see the trend and understand what's happening with it. So real kind of value add to the executives, as well as an easy way for your team to be able to kind of get access to that information without putting in extra work on spreadsheets and those types of things to get those numbers. Okay. I got 5 more minutes. I'm going to show a couple more things real quick. I'm running behind a little bit. So basically, one of the other things that I wanted to show was, the nice part of Salesforce is like reports and dashboards, right? So here, everything that I've been talking about, I'm looking at a sales manager's dashboard here. I can kind of see what is my pipeline looking like, what are the products that we're generally selling by product line, what are my reps doing, my team's performance to budget, all of the information that I need. Anything that's a record in Salesforce can be reported on, and I can't express how easy it is to create reports. And I think Larry was talking about that. I'm actually going to show you. So here is my product family report. If I wanted to customize it, it's literally a drag and drop. What you see is what you get type of interface. So here I can show the details, and here I see unit price, unit of measure, the invoice line, but I don't actually see, something else that I want to see. So I actually want to see if there's a back order quantity. So I added a back order quantity on here. I don't want it here. I actually want it there. So I'm able to kind of make these changes, and I'm able to run this report. This report is running from real live data, and I've changed it, and I've been able to kind of get the information that I need to see, in the way that I need to see it. And of course, this chart is all editable. It's all very, very simple and easy. We were talking about, account plans and summary. So, we've created some quick links here for things that people do super often. And here I can see, hey, what's my forecast by account? What's that looking like? What's my forecast by rep? And what's that looking like? Everything that's a record in Salesforce is completely reportable. So here I'm able to kind of get all the information I need at my fingertips, real time, and make real actionable decisions around. And on the whole side of collaboration, I can actually have a collaboration on this, right? I can, if this was like multiple sales managers, I can start at mentioning people to get an email. It's just like, hey, we're looking pretty strong on gloss line, but not so much on, XYZ. What are we going to do about it, right? And so here now, rather than, sending spreadsheets and those types of things, you can have all your conversations there. And when you have a board meeting or whatever, and you want to present this to your CEO, you can even put actions on here. That's a thing I actually do, right? I personally use dashboards to put some actions towards people and say, action Rohan to do XYZ. And the next time I look at this dashboard, I can be like, what did we talk about? That's right. Rohan was supposed to do XYZ. Rohan, did you do that or not? Right? It's a great kind of tool for collaboration. Now, I could show you so many different things, like the whole concept of 360-degree view. The whole concept of 360-degree view, it isn't just on, I don't know which product has this. Yeah, isn't just on the customer side. When you have data, and in Salesforce, you can connect it with so many different pieces of things. Like one issue is just like products, right? Like having an area of being able to see everything about a product in one place. So I know exactly the attributes of the product. I know how well it's performing in a particular market. I have all my images here to know what it looks like. I can understand what the cross-sell, upsell opportunities are with respect to other products. I know what it looks like from a different price book and special pricing. And I can also have conversations around it and have files attached to it, like user guides and designs and those types of things, to be able to give everyone access to information that they need, right? Okay, that's 10:50. I'm 5 minutes over my time. I hope this helps you understand what it is that Salesforce is able to do for manufacturers. And I hope I painted a little bit of a picture of how we can increase productivity, how we can increase visibility, and generally, unlock the data in your ERP to provide even more value to you. So I'm going to turn it over to some questions. And then we'll go in and see what those questions are.
Okay, Rohan, thank you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
So we have a few questions in chat. If you want to open that up, looks like we've got some questions about ERP and integration and that type of thing.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
We talked about, so Larry, the question was, what ERP system does Larry use? I think, Larry, you use Epicor today. And I think that one of the questions was around, at least the one that hasn't been answered yet, is, what are some of the best ERP systems that you have integrated with in the past?
Oh, man. So I don't know how to answer that question. Best ERP systems that we've integrated with the past. Best is a very subjective term. ERPs come. There's a lot of different ERPs. In my opinion, there are new cloud-based ERPs that enable all of the things that we just talked to on the operational side as well. I know Rootstock and there's Canandy, and there's some that are actually on the Force.com platform, which means that, with those ERPs, we would actually be able to not even have the need to integrate, but just get access to that data through security in Salesforce. I think at the end of the day, the question you might be asking is, hey, what are the easiest ERP systems to integrate to? And really, again, it's the ones that are on the Force.com platform. I think Rootstock is one. Canandy, there's a few of them if you were to just look them up on Google. With respect to actually integrating ERPs, it's really a matter of where it sits. Is it on the cloud? Is it on premise? If it's on premise, what strategy do we use? And that's, Traction is actually a data focused company, and we do, tons of integrations, and we have integration expertise. So that's something that we could actually help you out on. In fact, the Forge framework, I'll actually kind of show you. The Forge framework brings all the complexities of the ERP integration and brings it to the business as well, so that they understand. Like, for example, if Larry feels like, for whatever reason, that the data is outdated, leveraging Forge, he'd be able to see that, hey, like, this is when the last job ran, and then engage the right people, as well as kind of understanding what errors happened, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if that answers the question. Unfortunately, we are more on the front end side, and I can't really speak to what the best ERP system is, but I know that if they're on the cloud, they'll just generally provide more value than on premise.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rohan. Doesn't look like there's any other questions in the chat group. Are there any other questions? Just wait a few seconds here and see if anybody wants to ask any other questions. It's pretty quiet out there. Okay, so folks, once again, thank you very much for joining us. And I want to say a special thank you to you, Rohan, for your demonstration and for representing Traction on Demand. Great partner of ours. And I also want to thank Larry Jacobs from Haywood Tyler for joining us as well. Larry, thank you for taking time out of your day to share with our customers here and our good partners. And everyone have a great day. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me at kgraff, KGRAFF, at salesforce.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks, folks, and have a great day.